Tonight, Donald Trump is named in newly released emails from late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
These emails prove absolutely nothing.
Epstein's bombshell claims, including that Trump spent hours at his house with a woman, as the administration races to stop more files from going public. Pierre Poilievre says he is not changing his leadership style after losing 2 MPs.
My plan is to continue to lead and be the only leader in the country that's fighting for an affordable Canada.
U.S. tourism takes a $5 billion hit from the Canadian boycott.
I've chosen not to spend money in a country that is being that belligerent about us.
How some operators are trying to lure Canadians back.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. U.S. House lawmakers have returned to Washington for the first time since the government shutdown began nearly 8 weeks ago. One of their first acts, a bipartisan call to release all government files on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and revelations have already begun. Ahead of the petition, the House Oversight Committee released thousands of emails between Epstein and various associates, and Donald Trump's name came up multiple times. In one, Epstein said, "I know how dirty Donald is." Another, that Trump, quote, "knew about the girls." Another, Trump spent hours with a known Epstein victim. The references are vague, the White House saying that they were cherry-picked and proved nothing. But as Katie Simpson explains, the steady drip of details about Trump's association with Epstein seems to just keep coming.
Donald Trump's ties to Jeffrey Epstein, his problem that just will not go away. The latest blow, 23,000 pages of documents from the late sex offender's estate handed over to Congress, emails containing multiple references to Trump. In damage control mode, the White House aggressively defending the president.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
Emails include this from 2019. Epstein apparently writing about Trump to journalist Michael Wolff, saying, of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Another from 2011, written to his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, saying that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia spent hours at my house with him. A reference to Virginia Giuffre, the White House says, one of Epstein's victims who died by suicide earlier this year, though she never accused Trump of wrongdoing.
She maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
If Trump has nothing to hide, his critics say be more transparent.
The president right now today could release the Epstein files and fulfill his campaign promise, but he refuses to do so, and we believe this is a White House cover-up.
Lawmakers are ramping up another push for documents now that a new member of Congress has been sworn in. Adelita Grijalva joined all House Democrats and 4 Republicans to be the final signature needed on a petition forcing a vote to release all Epstein files. The Republican support, in particular, a comfort to some Epstein survivors.
It takes a lot of courage for them to break with party lines and to support us. I'm hopeful that their courage is contagious to other Republican members.
The House vote will take place next week, but it may stall in the Senate, and ultimately Trump has veto power. But that first vote, it will force lawmakers to be on the record. Are they for or against releasing all Epstein files?
And really, Katie, Trump's attempts, and there have been many of them, to shut this down tend to raise even more questions, and not just from Democrats.
Yeah, the White House tried hard to prevent the vote, targeting Republicans who signed the petition to reverse course. One was even brought to the Situation Room, but the pressure campaign failed. Remember, the MAGA voter base, they want transparency here, and some are even critical of how Trump's handled this.
All right, that is Katie Simpson in Washington. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to pass a funding bill to end the longest ever government shutdown.
The yeas are 222, the nays are 209. The bill is passed.
And so it passed. The Republican-controlled House with support from some Democrats. The 43-day-long shutdown left more than 1 million workers, like air traffic controllers, unpaid. The new agreement will fund the government until the end of January. Well, after losing 2 members of his caucus, one crossing to the Liberals, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre faced the media and the questions now swirling about his leadership. Kate McKenna on his effort to shut that down and go on the attack.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is doubling down.
Have you maybe reflected on your leadership style moving forward?
No.
Poilievre took questions for the first time since Conservative MP Matt Genereux announced he was quitting politics. And MP Chris D'Entremont defected to the Liberals, blaming Poilievre's leadership.
I felt it was a part of a frat house rather than a serious political party.
My plan is to continue to lead and be the only leader in the country that's fighting for an affordable Canada.
Poilievre was back on the attack, seeking to discredit D'Entremont.
Well, first of all, I just quote Mr. D'Entremont. He said, and I'm going to quote,
repeating a quote from this speech in September.
We warned that Liberals, their out-of-control spending and massive deficits were irresponsible. But of course, they didn't listen.
This is a quote from just a few months ago, where he said that Liberal food price inflation was inhumane. And you know what? He's right.
In some heated exchanges, he also accused the media of a double standard.
It does not live up to its promise of generational investments.
After Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith gave the budget a mixed review.
I know you're camped outside his office right now, waiting to get comment from him. I know you've been chasing Mark Carney down hallways.
Whether this will be enough to stop questions about Poilievre's leadership remains an open question.
What Mr. Poilievre's thinking.
This pollster says a lot depends on whether his caucus thinks they can win.
But one of the distinctive features of Mr. Poilievre is just how polarizing he is. There's a lot of Canadians who like him, and there are a lot of Canadians who don't. And it's almost entirely divided by whether you support the Conservative Party or not.
Chris D'Entremont responded to what Poilievre said in a statement, calling his comments spin and claiming it proves his point about Poilievre's leadership. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
The next set of major projects set to be fast-tracked will be announced by the Prime Minister tomorrow, and CBC News confirms it will include an expansion to BC's electrical grid. The North Coast Transmission Line is a $6 billion project to build a power line across the province from Prince George to Terrace, where Mark Carney will make the announcement. There will be at least 6 projects, including in mining and LNG. Well, Canadians boycotting U.S. travel are costing the American tourism industry billions, according to a new report. Sophia Harris shows us the travelers standing firm and the efforts to woo them back.
Snowbird Rena Hans owns a condo in Florida, but she's packing her bags instead for Costa Rica. Hans is one of many Canadians boycotting travel to the U.S. since U.S. President Donald Trump took office.
We are never going to be the 51st state of the United States. I've chosen not to spend money in a country that is being that belligerent about us or to us.
In October, the number of return trips Canadians made to the U.S. plummeted by 24% for air travel and by 30% for land travel compared to last year.
We're just kind of staying put, staying in Canada.
It's going to be a while before we ever decide to do anything in the U.S. Their ideas need to change.
Now, a new U.S. Travel Association report has tallied the cost. It forecasts a more than 3% decline in international tourism spending for 2025, a close to $6 billion loss compared to 2024. The main culprit, says the report, fewer Canadian visitors.
The tourism sector is labor intensive and it's a big employer in many states, and the decline threatens thousands of jobs.
Several U.S. tourist destinations are already feeling it, including Kalispell, Montana, a skiing destination close to Alberta. Canadian tourism spending here has dropped by almost 40% this year.
We just want to reconnect with our Canadian neighbors.
To try to do that, Kalispell has launched a welcome pass, where local businesses are offering Canadians deals.
Our welcome mat is out, and when you are ready to travel here, we'd love to see you, and as a token of appreciation, we're providing some discounts that you can take advantage of.
The U.S. Travel Association predicts a rebound in international tourism next year.
We are FIFA,
as it hosts many FIFA World Cup games. But some Canadians, including Hans, say they won't return to the U.S. while Trump is still in office. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
The United States is ramping up its military presence in the Caribbean as tension escalates with Venezuela. The U.S. Navy's largest aircraft carrier is now stationed off the coast of the South American country. Sasha Petrusek now with how the dramatic buildup could reshape regional security.
With USS Gerald Ford now in the Caribbean, the biggest aircraft carrier in the world, joining a fleet of other warships, Washington has upped the ante.
This is a counter-drug operation. The president's ordered it in defense of our country. It continues, it's ongoing. It can stop tomorrow if they stop sending drug boats.
The U.S. has struck at least 20 of what it says are these boats in the Caribbean and East Pacific, killing at least 76 people since September. But it's provided little evidence that the targets actually carried drugs, now prompting international backlash.
Those military operations are not compliant with international law.
From France and from British intelligence agencies, which have cut off cooperation with the U.S. on suspected drug trafficking vessels.
This lack of intelligence support from Britain is going to have a significant impact on the accuracy of the intelligence that the U.S. uses in prosecuting the so-called war on drugs.
Washington denies anything's happened with intelligence to jeopardize its ability to act. President Donald Trump suggests these operations also target Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
They've been treating us very badly, not only on drugs. They've dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country that we didn't want.
U.S. officials are reportedly proposing an attack on Venezuela, though Trump has publicly rejected it. Still, the U.S. has offered a $50 million reward for Maduro's capture, declaring him wanted for narco-trafficking. Maduro's response to all this? This week he mobilized Venezuelan forces to be ready for war. Sasha Petrusek, CBC News, Toronto.
Video has emerged of dozens of masked Israeli settlers storming a Palestinian-run dairy and a Bedouin village, injuring 4, part of a surge of settler violence in the West Bank.
The attack was pre-planned, entirely pre-planned, and they were divided by groups. Each group know what to do.
As employees locked themselves inside, security camera footage tracked the attackers as they entered the dairy factory grounds, setting fire to vehicles outside. Israeli authorities say they arrested 4 suspects. 3 of them were later released. Well, a tragedy in downtown Vancouver. An 8-year-old girl who fell from a high-rise balcony is dead, despite the efforts of first responders.
They got there immediately, were able to perform first aid, and unfortunately she died at the scene.
Police say it was mid-afternoon when she fell from the 23rd floor and landed on a 7th floor balcony. The girl was from Squamish, with the local school board calling her lovely and friendly. Investigators are trying to determine what led to the fall. Well, there's shock and grief tonight in an Ontario community after 3 teens were killed in a single vehicle accident while a 4th faces life-threatening injuries. Lisa Shing shows us how the community is coping just months after a similar tragedy.
In the small community of Hanover, the grief is palpable.
Their friend, their son, their daughter, their student, just gone in a blink of an eye.
3 teenagers aged 15 to 17, 2 boys and a girl, all dead after a single vehicle crash near this intersection northwest of Toronto. Another teenager fighting for his life in hospital. Sierra Myers used to go to school with them.
It's pretty heartbreaking to know that my fellow students and people that I've interacted with at school have just gone.
Police say they arrived at a rural road at noon on Tuesday and found a crashed vehicle heavily damaged. They say speed was a factor.
It was smoking, it flipped a couple times, and on scene there were 3 passengers that had been ejected from the vehicle.
All 4 teenagers were students at John Diefenbaker Senior School in Hanover. A parent tells CBC News the students were on a lunch break after a Remembrance Day ceremony. The people there shaken.
It's unprecedented and it's surreal in many ways.
This is the 2nd deadly crash involving students from the Blue Water District School Board. 6 months ago, 4 teens and their teacher from the nearby town of Walkerton were killed on their way home from a softball tournament. Their vehicle collided with a tractor trailer. Another tragedy in such a short amount of time hits even harder.
It was just, I think, shock for a lot of people and, reopening wounds for many too, with those close connections.
I just hope
Myers knew victims from both crashes.
we all come together, we say good things about them, we say the memories that makes us smile and hope that they're looking down on us.
Grieving again, more young lives cut far too short. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Hanover, Ontario.
5 people are facing charges in connection with the killing during a home invasion north of Toronto. One of the suspects, a 16-year-old wanted for first-degree murder, is still on the run.
We will find you. It's time to contact a lawyer and turn yourself in.
In August, Abdullah Reem Farouki was fatally shot in his home in Vaughan, Ontario. Friends say it happened in front of his 4 children. Among those arrested, a 26-year-old man charged with first-degree murder. Police said at the time of the invasion, he was out on 4 separate forms of release for unrelated incidents. Well, online gambling sites in Ontario will soon open up to players worldwide. A court ruling has cleared the way for the province to expand the market internationally. But as Michelle Song explains, while the move could boost revenues, it also comes with some serious risks to users.
So you've got all these games up here.
Avid poker players like Dhruv Gupta are welcoming Wednesday's decision from Ontario's Court of Appeal. It says Ontarians can legally play against international players.
I think it'll be great for the game and for players, because the more players you're playing against, the more you're learning, the better you're getting.
iGaming Ontario is the agency that licenses privately owned online gambling sites. Until now, Ontarians could only play against each other. But with international players to be let in, the liquidity or pool of money increases.
They're going to have greater choice and greater choice within a regulated environment.
According to iGaming Ontario, last year, those sites generated $3.2 billion in gross gaming revenue, of which Ontario collects 20%.
We have been encouraging provinces to seek and look at expanding the regulated marketplace for online gaming within their jurisdictions.
But lottery agencies in 7 other provinces formed a coalition to oppose Ontario's proposal. In their court submission, they say the Ontario iGaming market has led to confusion among Canadians about lawful online gambling options. And they claim Ontario's regulated sites are playing ads across Canada, luring players in from other provinces to play illegally.
Bet with Sports Interaction.
This expert says more accessibility could create more addiction.
All that increases the likelihood that people are going to experience some problems with gambling. And we're seeing that now. There are some signals that problem gambling is increasing in Ontario.
The Canadian Lottery Coalition says the court ruling does explicitly say private gambling sites must stop taking bets from Canadians outside Ontario. They say they are reviewing the decision, and if appealed, it could go before the Supreme Court of Canada. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
A popular apartment hotel chain founded in Montreal has shut its doors and declared bankruptcy.
He asked us to leave, and we told us we had about 10 to 15 minutes to leave, and that was it.
How Sonder's sudden move left guests scrambling. Next. Plus, Canada lands some American academic stars.
They are the tops in their field right now.
The push to bring the brightest minds north of the border. And a solar storm puts on a show for stargazers.
When they're that bright, it's kind of never gets old.
The dazzling spectacle that isn't over yet. We're back in 2.
Most people knew her as Jane Goodall, the icon, the legend. But the Jane I was fortunate enough to get to know was gentle, curious, funny, witty, and absolutely unstoppable.
That's actor Leonardo DiCaprio remembering world-renowned conservationist Jane Goodall at her funeral in Washington. Goodall's groundbreaking field research changed how scientists viewed primates. She died last month at the age of 91. Well, hotel guests around the world were left scrambling after Quebec-founded company Sonder abruptly shut down. Alison Northcott shows us the confusion as travelers were suddenly evicted.
The doors to this Montreal hotel are now locked. Guests were given just a few hours to vacate before it suddenly shut down.
He asked us to leave, and we told us we had about 10 to 15 minutes to leave, and that was it. So we started packing up, getting dressed.
Sonder Hotels cutting many guest stays short at locations around the world because the company is filing for bankruptcy. The boutique hotel chain opened in 2014. It had locations in Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, and Vancouver. But the company says it faced severe financial constraints. And last weekend, Marriott terminated its licensing agreement with Sonder. In a statement, Sonder's CEO said, "We are devastated to reach a point where liquidation is the only viable path forward."
What? Is this a joke? I thought I was going to faint.
This Montreal employee says staff were given little notice.
My supervisor just received a phone call from the operational manager telling him that Sonder just filed for bankruptcy and that we're closing door tomorrow at 9 a.m. All the guests need to vacate and that today is our last day working.
Marriott says it will be contacting guests who book directly through Marriott channels and that it's committed to minimizing disruption to guest travel plans. Some frustrated customers are hoping for refunds.
I literally freaked out. I'm here with my husband. This is our annual holiday. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do?
But getting money back from a bankrupt company can be hard, says this lawyer.
So they can actually file a proof of claim. However, this claim has to be taken into account with all other claims that the company receives.
Sonder says it explored all viable alternatives to avoid this outcome, but says it was left with no choice but to wind down operations. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
As Canada looks to attract top research talent, the University of Toronto has just made 3 big hires.
Done a bunch of research that I think is relevant to some of the issues that are front and center right now in Canada.
Well, some say more needs to be done to address core funding issues. Plus, a major steel producer reeling from the effects of Donald Trump's tariffs.
What would you say is the mood among your membership?
Scared, distraught.
Nick Burden looks at how Algoma is betting big on Canada. And the United States is ramping up military pressure on Venezuela, supposedly over drug trafficking. But what does it really want?
Donald Trump has for many, many years now had this obsession with oil in Venezuela.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. That is a celebration of Neil Young and his music tonight at Toronto's historic Massey Hall. An all-star lineup of Canadian musicians paid tribute to the legendary singer-songwriter by performing a selection of Young's tunes on his 80th birthday. Neil Young was born in Toronto on November the 12th, 1945. Well, the University of Toronto has released the names of 3 newly hired academics lured north from the U.S. as part of a plan to gain international brain power. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson finds out why they're coming and why some Canadians say it's not all good news.
Another batch of star academics from the U.S. bound for major positions at the University of Toronto, including the man who will head up the Munk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy, formerly the researcher behind Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act.
I've done, research on a broad set of things like healthcare, government programs like pensions, Social Security here in the U.S. It's known as, and crime and homelessness and, a bunch of defense procurement research that I think is relevant to some of the issues that are front and center right now in Canada.
The other 2 are Duggan's wife, Jacqueline Pless, an innovation and energy economics scholar, and astrophysicist Sarah Seeger, a Canadian who has worked at top U.S. institutions. U of T's new president says the hires are a key part of a long-term strategy.
They are the tops in their field right now, and they're going to be here leading our research, but educating our students.
This type of brain gain could happen a lot more if the proposed federal budget is passed. It earmarks $1.7 billion for Canadian institutions to attract top academics and researchers from around the world, a policy welcomed by some and questioned by others.
So right across the country, we're seeing
academic staff in colleges and universities losing their jobs. Researchers don't have the support they need. So, you know, while welcome, we think that a lot more needs to be done to stabilize the system that they'd be coming into.
As U of T unveiled its new international hires, it also announced a program to hire 100 postdoctoral fellows over 2 years and provide research funds. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Deadly U.S. strikes on Venezuelan boats and a rapid military buildup in the Caribbean.
The endgame of this could be very ugly.
Just what is the United States up to? But first,
We have looming layoffs coming that are going to affect a lot of our members.
fears in a Canadian steel-making community, responding to tariffs, fighting for jobs, and worried about survival. Nick Purdon traveled to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and the heartbeat of the community, Algoma Steel. From the CEO to the shop floor, they are all just trying to stay open.
We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America. Nobody's going to get around that.
When President Trump made that announcement at a rally earlier this year, there was someone watching in Canada who just couldn't believe it. Meet Algoma Steel's CEO, Mike Garcia.
Well, I thought, is this, is this a joke? Can he, is it actually going to be 50%? Because if it's 50%, what does that mean for Algoma Steel? How long can we survive with a 50% tariff into our biggest market?
For as long as anyone can remember, Canada's largest trading partner has been the United States. Now, with the trade war, that relationship is under threat. And one of the things that President Trump has targeted more than anything is Canadian steel. That's why I'm here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, the home of Algoma Steel. They've been here for more than 120 years. But with tariffs, they're losing millions every month. So I'm here to see how one of Canada's most important companies is fighting to survive. So tell me where you're taking me.
I'm taking you to our plate mill, the only plate mill in Canada.
Algoma Steel used to sell more than half of their products to the United States. But tariffs have made doing that so expensive that the American market is essentially closed now. So here, the company is trying to come up with a new way of doing business. And to do that, a few months ago, they got help, lots of it. You got $500 million from the federal and provincial governments. What's that money for?
Well, that buys us time, and there's nothing more valuable in this environment than time. And what we're going to do with that time is we are going to get ready to pivot to a domestic market. We're going to lower our costs. We're going to become much greener. We're going to become much flexible, and we're going to respond to what market opportunities there currently are.
Garcia wants to focus on the Canadian market, and the pivot is about capturing more of it. The hope is Algoma Steel's plate will be used to build bridges and cars and ships, and in the new infrastructure projects promised by the Canadian government. As the big boss being in here, what's it like to watch it happen?
Well, that's always very satisfying. This is the most important thing our company does, is make products like these plates that our customers use. In the Army, they call it, this is the tip of the spear. This is where the actual product gets made, and that's why we exist as a company, to make this product.
In a world of bad news, Garcia says there are a few positives. It seems the Buy Canadian movement now includes steel.
We're getting calls and inquiries from steel users who had never really considered Algoma Steel, and they're just cold calling us, asking us, hey, this is the form of steel products that I'm using, this is what I'm doing with it, can you guys help? And I think the resolve in the country is there.
Still, the fix here isn't quick or easy, and there's no guarantee it'll work. The situation is difficult. Algoma Steel just reported a loss of $87 million in the third quarter.
The stakes are incredibly high. The Canadian market needs to mature and develop, and we are getting ready, as they say in hockey, we're skating to where the puck is going to be, but we're not completely in control as to whether that's where the puck is going to be.
The uncertainty around the company is felt most by the workers. There are around 2,700 employees at Algoma, and the $500 million government loan doesn't mean everyone will keep their job.
Yeah, I think we have to realize our position that we're not, able to stop the layoffs from happening, but we need to fight for the membership.
Bill Slater, president of one of the local steelworkers unions, is meeting with his executive team to try to figure out what to do.
What's the situation at Algoma Steel?
Dire. We have looming layoffs coming that are going to affect a lot of our members as well as the community.
Exactly when the layoffs will happen and how many, nobody knows for sure. But the fear is about a third of Algoma's employees will be let go.
Yesterday they sent out an email to the whole of the company asking them to update their resumes, which kind of touched off a lot of anxiety for people to try and understand where they're going to land.
We have the membership meeting tonight, and we're sending out emails hopefully to control the anxiety that's causing. But
what would you say is the mood among your membership?
Scared, distraught. We have a lot of young people that have, just started families, bought houses, bought cars, just starting out their working career, and now they're wondering, where do I go next? Up here in Northern Ontario, you pick up your family and have to leave if you're going to another community to work. It's not like we have other industries that we can commute to from the Sault.
In Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma Steel is pretty much connected to everything. No matter what business you're in, you follow the steel trade. Jason Nacarado runs a business consulting firm in Sault Ste. Marie. He's also president of the city's Chamber of Commerce, with more than 600 members.
So as Algoma goes, our community goes. When Algoma is not doing well, we all feel it.
What's the level of anxiety, would you say?
Oh, geez, say probably 9 out of 10. It's up there.
Jason tells me the uncertainty about whether Algoma's pivot will work has the whole town holding its breath.
Do you go buy that new piece of equipment, or do you hold off? Do you hire new people, or do you sit tight? All those things. It's weighing on you right now because, if the mill came out tomorrow and said we're laying off 800 people, your operating environment has definitely changed.
The worry about layoffs is why the union has set up a membership meeting for this evening at the local Legion. We're told we can't attend, but I meet Melissa McMaster outside.
Yep, I'm third-generation steelworker.
Melissa has worked at Algoma for 20 years.
How much is riding on the pivot for you?
My family, my daughter, it's very important to me. I want to live my life here, and I want to retire here, so I don't want to think about having to start again.
Then I meet Frank DeMarco, a third-generation steelworker. Because of tariffs, his daughter was recently laid off from Algoma. And Frank believes all Canadians should fight back in the trade war.
You're in the market to purchase a new car, buy one of those that are made by Canadian hands that possibly is made from the steel where I work in my home, and support that.
Why does that matter so much to you?
Oh, it matters because it's Canada. It's like why my dad came here. My dad made a point to me one time on his 52nd birthday. He said, "Hey Frank, I'm more Canadian than I'm Italian now." It was his proudest day ever. So we're Canadian. We'll be proud of it. We don't want to be a 51st state. We're proud of that flag, that leaf.
That sentiment that we can survive and flourish all on our own. You hear it a lot today. But when it comes to steel, is it realistic? With more than 50% of your market gone to the United States, can you really pivot that much?
And that's probably the million-dollar question. We cannot be totally locked out of the U.S. market on a permanent basis.
For Garcia, that's the hard truth. Even if Algoma's pivot works, to survive they'll still need the United States. And maybe that reality hangs over much of the talk of economic independence in Canada today.
I don't think that Canada can be truly prosperous without the largest market in the world, the United States, and so I think that's what's on the line.
So the stakes in Sault Ste. Marie right now, Adrienne, very high.
So you said something interesting in there that Algoma was sort of banking on supplying steel to some of the major infrastructure projects that the federal government is announcing. How likely is that?
Well, the reality is today that it's actually often cheaper to buy foreign steel from China or India than use Canadian steel. And partly that's because it's expensive to move it across the country. So what both the union and the company want in this case is they want a ban on dumping foreign steel in Canada and a guarantee from the government that they use Canadian steel in these infrastructure projects. So we shall see.
Okay, we'll be watching. All right, Nick Purdon, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up, skepticism of the White House claim that U.S. aggression in the Caribbean is about the flow of drugs.
0.00% of fentanyl that arrives in the United States comes from Venezuela.
Okay, so if that doesn't explain the military buildup, what does? Next. Deadly military strikes on boats in international waters.
The president has made it very clear he's not going to allow terrorists to bring illegal drugs.
Now, a growing military buildup focused on Venezuela. But is it really about the drugs? Eli Glasner looks at why some are skeptical about that and at what else might explain an aggressive U.S. posture.
So what is the United States doing in the Caribbean Sea?
You've probably seen the strikes against boats mainly from Venezuela.
Every one of those boats is responsible for the death of 25,000 American people.
They happen so often now, there's a disturbing familiarity. But behind the grainy footage are over 60 people killed, no names, and serious questions of legality. And then there's that massive military buildup.
The USS Gerald R. Ford arriving off the coast of Venezuela. Would you look at this thing?
America's largest aircraft carrier with 10,000 troops, now joining US B-52 bombers, spy planes, a submarine, while Venezuela has begun mobilizing, carrying out military exercises.
So what is Trump's interest in the region? Could what he's pushing for actually improve the situation for Venezuelans? Is it about stopping drugs?
We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela.
Venezuelan migrants?
They've dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country that we didn't want.
Regime change?
Are Maduro's days as president numbered?
I would say, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Or could this be about votes in Florida? We'll get to that, but first, let's look at the lay of the land. So, here is United States, and here is the Caribbean Sea with a massive military buildup, and here is Venezuela, according to Washington, a major source of drugs going to the U.S.
Every boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. And you see that fentanyl all over the ocean.
So we decided to check that with John Walsh. He's with the Washington Office of Latin America. Recently, they published a fact check on America's anti-drug offensive. Let's start with fentanyl, the deadly scourge of the opioid epidemic.
It needs to be clearly stated, 0.00% of fentanyl that arrives in the United States comes from Venezuela, the Caribbean, or South America for that matter.
He says if fentanyl is the issue, it isn't coming from here, but here, Mexico.
The fentanyl illicitly manufactured that arrives in the United States is almost entirely coming from Mexico, based on precursor chemicals imported into Mexico, mostly from China, not exclusively.
So it's not fentanyl. What about cocaine?
According to the Drug Enforcement Administration's own 2020 report, only 8% of the cocaine that came through the Caribbean corridor originated from Venezuela.
All right, if it's not about the drugs, is this about power? There's a political philosophy that's all the rage in Republican circles called the Monroe Doctrine. Bear with me for a moment. We need to go back to 1823. That's when, in a speech to Congress, President James Monroe put the nations of Europe on blast, telling them the Western Hemisphere, all of this, was off limits. Any attempt on their part to extend their system to any portion of the hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety. 202 years later, the Monroe Doctrine is making a comeback. For more, I reached out to Jorge Jaime, a former ambassador to China in Chile.
The Monroe Doctrine evokes
very negative feelings in Latin America. It is associated with the worst aspects of U.S. imperialism over, the past 2 centuries.
And now America has competition from over here, China. He says China, not the U.S., is the #1 trading partner for South America, with China as Venezuela's #1 oil customer. Do you think the U.S. is trying to counteract China's moves with its activity in the Caribbean?
Well, there's an element of that. And obviously, the Maduro regime is quite close to China.
So is this about China or something else Trump wants?
Donald Trump has never met a hydrocarbon he didn't covet.
Sanho Tree is with the Institute for Policy Studies. There's more oil left under the ground in Venezuela than anywhere else in the world, right?
Venezuela has the largest known oil reserves in the world. The endgame of this could be very ugly. Donald Trump has for many, many years now had this obsession with oil in Venezuela. Even though he'll talk about regime change today and how it's a national security issue, etc., he has always talked about that oil, and it's on record, right?
Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil.
But there's just one more possibility, according to our former ambassador, and it has to do with Florida, just a 3-hour flight from Venezuela.
There is, of course, a very significant, Latino population in Florida. There are Venezuelans there are Cubans, Nicaraguans, all sorts of people. Most of them have strong anti-Maduro feelings.
According to Heine, with the Republicans losing Latin voters due to increased deportation measures, this could be a way to shore up the vote. But whether it's votes or oil or China, what's missing? What do Venezuelans want? Well, the answer may surprise you.
Hi, Eli, how are you?
CBC News has agreed to conceal the identity of this Venezuelan journalist who says free speech is under attack.
Since October 15, we've had 3 detentions of journalists.
She says as Washington ratchets up the pressure, President Nicolas Maduro has cracked down on dissent as Venezuelans struggle with rampant inflation, poverty, and food insecurity.
Venezuela is currently going still through a very severe humanitarian situation. The economic crisis is worsening and will most likely mean more suffering for these people.
But after the results of the last election, where the Maduro-controlled election authority declared Maduro the winner, even though the opposition party claims it received over 70% of the vote, she says many would quietly welcome any American action that removes Maduro.
So it is a very nuanced situation. There is a lot of fear and also a little bit of excitement about it.
In the meantime, as the boat strikes continue and reports of military activity increase, Venezuelans wait, caught between America's ambitions and an uncertain future.
Now, reports have pegged those military strikes as the reason the UK has just suspended intelligence sharing with the U.S., though when leaving the G7 meetings in southern Ontario today, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said nobody from Britain has raised concerns with him. Well, coming up, a dazzling solar storm lights up North America.
When they're that bright, it's kind of never gets old. Everything is changing in front of you.
The vibrant colors that painted the night sky in our moment. This is just a glimpse of the incredible solar storm that fired up northern lights across North America last night. So many people across the country turned their cameras up to capture this rare spectacle in the sky that tonight, it just has to be our moment.
As soon as it got dark here, you could already see in the sky that the northern lights were starting. You could already see the vivid colors, the pinks, the greens. The vibrant colors are always nice to see. You normally don't see the reds visually, and you can clearly see them last night. Being able to experience seeing them without looking through cameras is pretty exciting and doesn't happen all that often. When they're that bright, it's kind of never gets old. Everything is changing in front of you. You know it's a pretty strong storm when you get to see it. The powerful solar eruptions from the sun, they're called CMEs, or coronal mass ejections. When they get pushed from the sun, they collide with the Earth's magnetic field, and then they create a geomagnetic storm. It's just kind of a spectacle to see. Definitely planning on going out again tonight.
Tonight and tomorrow, there's a solid chance you will see them. Apparently, according to NASA, what's happening is that the sun is at the maximum phase of a solar cycle that sees its magnetic poles sort of swap places every 11 years or so. So that's why we're seeing so much more of this activity. Never seen the red sky like that, though. That's astonishing. From all of us at the National, thank you for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.